Today's lesson is on how to find the quartiles of a set of data. So quartiles split a set of data into four equal parts. And I know that when we think about the word quartiles or quarter, we think about four, but there are actually only three quartiles. Imagine that you have a piece of paper and you want to rip it into four parts. You only have to rip it three times, once down the middle, and then each half you would rip once. So when you find the quartiles of a data set, you have your lower quartile, which is Q1, your middle quartile, Q2, which is also your median, and then your upper quartile, Q3. And as you can see down here, your quartiles split your data into four equal parts, and 25% of the data is housed in each little section there. The steps to find the quartiles of a dataset are not too dissimilar to finding the median. So first of all, just like with any question where you're finding the median, you have to make sure that your data is in order. So if the numbers are given to you out of order, you have to reorder them from smallest to largest. Then you find the median first, which might seem a little bit counterintuitive to find Q2 before Q1, but your median splits your data set into two halves, an upper half and a lower half. To find the lower quartile Q1, you find the median of that lower half, and to find your upper quartile Q3, you find the median of the upper half. So you have to find your Q2 first to allow you to go and find Q1 and Q3. We're going to look at two examples, one where you're finding the quartiles of a dataset with an odd number of points, and one where we're finding the quartiles of a dataset with an even number of points. And you should know from earlier on in the week where we've looked at finding the median that the process for doing that is slightly different depending on the number of points that you have. So below we have the ages of 11 pupils chosen randomly from the Linlithgow Academy. And first of all, what we should be noticing about this data set is that the numbers are not in order. So first of all, we need to put the numbers in order. When I'm doing this, I like to cross out the numbers as I'm copying them down, just to make sure that I'm not going to accidentally write any down twice, or I'm not going to miss any out. So our lowest number is number 11, and we have two 11s. So if we rewrite that underneath, then for number 12, we have once, twice, three times. Just 113 and 114. One 15, two 16s and a 17. The question underneath asks us to find first of all the median and then our lower and upper quartiles for this set of data. Because we have 11 pupils, so we have 11 pieces of data in our data set, there's two different ways that we can find the median. We can either put our finger on either end and count back in until our finger meets in the middle, which works fine because it's a smaller number of data points. Or if you want to use the quick formula, you can use that, which is n plus 1 over 2. N is the number of data points that you have, which is 11. 11 plus 1 is 12. 12 over 2 is 6. Now that doesn't tell us that the median is 6, because if we look at our data set, we don't have the number 6. But what it tells us is that the median is represented by the 6th point if we count from the beginning. So if we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, tells us that our median, our Q2, is 13. So we put a circle around that, or you can draw a box around it and just put a Q2 next to it. And I'm going to write over at the side that Q2 equals 13. Now this median, or Q2, has split the data set into a lower half, which is down here, and an upper half, which is up here. So to find the lower and the upper quartiles, we have to find the median of that lower half and the median of the upper half. So because we only have 5 points in our lower half, the 13 isn't included, and 5 points in our upper half, it should be quite straightforward to do this. Our middle of the lower half is 12, which is Q1, and our median of the upper half is 16, which is Q3. And again, down here, just where our answers are, I'm just going to state that Q1 is 12 and Q3 is 16. And there we found our 3 quartiles for this set of data. For our second example, we have an even number of data points. So we're still going to find the median first, followed by the lower and the upper quartile, but the way that we're going to do it is going to differ very slightly. So we're still going to have to rewrite these numbers in order, starting with the smallest, which is 118. So now 118, and then our next number is 123 and 128. In the 130s, we have 132 and 134. Then in the 40s, 141 and 145. And our final one is 156. So 141, 145, and 156. What I would recommend for you at home, even though the questions that you're going to be working from are going to be on your screen, write the numbers out of order first. So write them down the way that you're given them in the question and then rewrite them so that you can cross out all the numbers and just make sure that you don't miss any out. With this one here, our median isn't going to be a number that we can just circle. The reason for that is because we have this even number of data points. So if we were to put our fingers on either side and count in, or whether we use the n+1/2 method, we end up with the fact that our median lies in between the 4th and the 5th number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is our 5th number. So our median is going to lie in between 132 and 134. So that one's quite straightforward because we know what lies in between 132 and 134, and we know that it's 133. And we can write that down here at the side. Now, we're going to find the median of the lower half and the median of the upper half. What again is slightly different this time compared to the example that we did before was that now when we think about our lower half, the 132 and the 134 are included in the lower and the upper half, whereas before our median that was 13 was not included. The reason for that is because 132 and 134 are not the medians, so they don't have to be removed when we're thinking about our lower and upper halves. Now we're going to try and find the median of the lower half and the median of the upper half to find our quartiles. The median of the lower half will be in between 123 and 128. So those numbers are not as nice as what we might have been used to before. And the way to find that, if we're not sure, is to add the two numbers together and half them. And that will give us the midpoint, or effectively the median between those two numbers. So 123 plus 128 gives us 251, and we're dividing that by 2. So 251 divided by 2 gives us 125.5. So we can write that Q1 equals 100.5. And that is up here. Then for our Q3 will be a little bit easier because it lies in between 141 and 145. So we should know that Q3 will just be 143. But if you find that quite challenging, you can just add them together and then half it. So again, we have our 3 quartiles. Lower quartile, 125.5. Middle quartile, or our median, Q2, is 133. and Q3, our upper quartile, is 143.